Hello and welcome to another episode of the Portrait Profit Show. I'm so glad you're here with me today. My name is Jim Landers, and my mission is simple. I help portrait photographers like you make a great income doing what they love. Each week on the Portrait Profit Show, you get tips and systems on the business side of photography designed to help you gain a mastery over marketing and sales, reducing the struggles that most photographers face so you can finally get what you deserve. You're in the right place. Welcome to the Portrait Profit Show. The Portrait Profit Show is brought to you by Digital Pro Lab and Landers Photography School. So today we're going to be talking about the 3 Ps for a professional portrait photographer. But before we do that, let's do a little bit of housekeeping here because I want to make sure that I can see who you are. We use you're going to see this coming across the screen in the bottom just right now. Excuse me. We use a platform called StreamYard that allows us to be able to simulcast this show to multiple places. But what it doesn't do is allow us to see you unless you give StreamYard permission for us to see you. So if you'll click on that link, you'll see it going across the screen, or in the post. If you're on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn, on the post, the very last line of the post is a link to this. So you don't have to remember it, but it's StreamYard.com/Facebook. And when you go there and you enter, you just say you're giving permission to StreamYard. That way, whenever you comment, I'll be able to know who it is. Now, what kind of things might you comment on? Well, a lot of things, but one is I want you to tell me that you're here live. So enter in right now in the comments section, #live. We definitely encourage interaction with this show. We want to see you hit that like button. We want to see you hit that love button. We want to see comments. And right now I'm asking for one. Enter in #live. That way I can see that you're here. I know you're here. And if you've clicked on the StreamYard.com/Facebook, I'll be able to see your name, and it won't just say Facebook user or YouTube. And so I'll actually know who it is that said #live, or any comments that you do. So during this and all shows, I want you to comment. I want you to hit that like button. I want you to hit that love button, but I also want you to ask questions or make comments. If you've experienced something that I am referring to or sharing, and you have a story you want to add to it or question, add that into the comments. We're encouraging you to do that. So that is, I think that's enough of the housekeeping stuff ahead of time. But again, enter in #live right now in the comments. That way I know that you're here live. And I can do shout outs to all those who are here watching live with me today. Let's see. I can see several Facebook users, meaning you're watching anonymously, which is fine. You can certainly do that. So lots of Facebook users. I can see Strider and Lupe and Robin and several other users, Facebook users and all. Thank you guys for being here today. All right. So again, I mentioned that we were going to be doing the 3 Ps for a professional portrait photographer. And this is a fun topic, but it's still serious. Those 3 words, professional portrait photographer, have meaning. And so we're going to talk about the meaning of those 3 words. What do they mean to the professional portrait photographer? We're going to go into some details. And how can we measure what it is we're trying to do with these 3 words? Are we being professional? We probably think we are, but are we measuring it? Or are we just thinking that we are? Maybe you have a few examples. What about portrait? Are you portraying? Are you doing what the word portrait means if you're a professional portrait photographer? And what about the word photographer? We're going to go through the meanings of each one of those, what they mean to you. And they mean something different to everyone. So the things I'm going to say are a little bit on the general side. And I'm going to ask you as a homework assignment to define your three P's. So as you're going through, as you're listening as you're watching or listening to this show, I want you to take some notes. Unless you're driving, then don't do that. Watch it again later. It shows up in the feed. You may have to scroll down a little bit to see it, but it's in the feed of what you're watching right now. And so you can watch this and any of the previous shows. This today is episode number 106. So you could go back and watch well over 100 different shows that we've done here on the Portrait Prophet Show. So let's I want to encourage you one more time to hit that like button, hit that love button, and comment in the comment section. If you're watching this live, #live, but all kinds of comments, ask questions, make comments, share stories that are along the lines of what is being shared today. All right. Let me bring up that's the last one. There we go. All right. So I believe, and I hope you do too, that you can have pretty much everything you want in life. But the way you're going to get there is not by accident usually. Sure, good things happen by accident, but they're more often done by design. So I believe that if you want something in this life, the best way to start is by defining specifically what it is that you want and what impact it's going to have on you and those who are in your environment, your loved ones and friends and family. The three P's that we're talking about today, professional, portrait, photographer, are key performance indicators for you as a professional portrait photographer. You get to define those. And in defining those, this helps you to know what it is you're supposed to do next. If you believe that a purpose driven life is beneficial, is helpful, it helps your general happiness, it helps your fulfillment, then as a creative, we must define what we want to give ourselves potential to get there. Today, we'll focus on the three P's of professional, portrait, and photographer, and what they mean to us as portrait photographers. I will share my philosophy about good things, and I'll put that in air quotes, good things, and how to differentiate yourself between steps that just lead to struggle, the efforts. There's a lot of effort that you can put in to a business that leads you to struggle, just struggle. And you can't tell the difference between all those efforts that lead you to struggle and those that lead you to success unless you've defined what success is. It's the only way you can tell the difference. So your action step for today is to create your own definitions of the three P's. So let's dive in and take a step towards your success. The idea is to write, my idea to write this show today came from a previous Portrait Prophet show on October 18th, 2021. That one was called The Three P's to Individual Success, which is comprised of three main things and the one P that encompasses them all. Let's go over those three: physical, personal, professional are the ones that we went over on October 18, 2021. So you can go back and take a look at that. Those are the three P's. And then the one P that encompasses them all is purpose. There are a lot of ways we could discuss purpose. But because this is a business class, we're speaking in terms of doing what we enjoy. That also involves money-making activities and money-making goals. Today, I'm talking about these three P's: professional, portrait, and photographer. I'm going to tell you what I believe each one means for us as portrait photographers, but you must define it for yourself. Hear what I'm saying just as one guy's perception, one guy's thoughts. Maybe he's as a guide, but it's not yours. You've got to make it yours. You've got to make that effort. It's not enough just to listen to different things, different educational opportunities, different shows. You've got to implement what it is that you learn, and you know this. That's not a surprise. Not teaching anything with that. In fact, that's the action step for today. I want you to take notes during the show if you're not driving, but immediately afterwards, create your own definitions of the three P's, plus the all encompassing P for purpose. A purpose driven life is an essential requirement for general happiness, but because without a sense of purpose, we're going to feel lost. We're going to feel unsure of what to do next. So wonderful creatives wander from one good thing to another. And if you've been with me for a while, you already know my philosophy about good things. Good things are the path to failure, or at least struggle. We all are putting good things in our path, but are we all receiving or reaching the success that we want? Of course not. So then good things aren't the path to success. What is? Good things are just like roads. You can find a lot of good ones, but are they the ones that will lead you to where you want to go? You don't go on every single road when you're heading somewhere, when you're going to an appointment, when you're going on a road trip. You don't go down every single road you see, but a lot of them are really good roads. So therefore, you're passing up good roads. You're passing up good things. Why would you do that? Because they aren't the right thing. So the difference isn't between good and not good or bad. The difference between success and struggle is knowing the difference between good and right. And the only way to know what right is to define it for you. Failure to define what right is for you is equivalent to putting good things in your path, taking every single road. They're all good. Guys, they don't all lead you to where you want to go. That's why most photographers are struggling. We have to define where we're going. All right. So let's say that you have a specific group of goals that takes you to your life goals. Now, with that, you have potential. You have purpose. For a business owner who is a custom portrait photographer, your purpose must fit the following three criteria, or you need to spend a little more time to make sure that it does. Those three things are: one, I enjoy it. Two, I'm good at it and I'm excited to get better at it. And number three, I can make a great income with it. Now, do I need to know those clearly when I begin? No, you need to know that there's potential when you begin. For instance, can I make a great income with it? Well, have you seen examples of photographers portrait photographers who are doing something similar to you anywhere, who are doing well? So if it's possible for someone, then it is possible for you. In just a moment, we're going to go over the three P's. But before I do that, I want you to go into it with a specific mindset. And the reason is so that your efforts are aligned with creating steps that are moving you forward, constantly realigning you to the success that you want in this life. So therefore, they have to be measurable. And you've probably heard of KPIs, key performance indicators. Think for a moment about a map. I'm not really thinking Google Maps. I'm thinking of a paper map. Yeah, old school. I don't use them anymore, but and I understand that some of you may have never used a paper map before. but I figured that you at least understand the concept. So imagine a paper map. To get where you want to go, you must not only know where you want to go, you must also know where you are right now. You have to have a starting point, and starting point is today for our lives. If you're on a map, it's where you are right now. So it's the same thing. Where are you right now? Where are you in your path? With KPIs, we must know where we stand and where we want to go. That way, at any point in the process, we know where we are relative to where we want to go. That way, we know where we're going. We know what impact we're trying to have. The impact or results is something that we can measure, and it's commonly referred to as key performance indicators, or KPI. Now, it's important to clearly set our intentions so that we can accurately measure our progress in meeting these expectations. To aid our efforts in measuring actions and expectations, it's beneficial, of course, to write these things down. That way, at a glance, we can easily see how far we've come in regard to your specific objectives. This helps provide motivation along your journey and gives you a great sense of accomplishment when you look back at how far you've come. When setting expectations, be sure that they are measurable and attainable. I often joke, but if your goal is to be the first portrait photographer on Mars, I'm not sure that's attainable. Maybe it is, but based on what we know so far, you're not going to be the first portrait photographer on Mars. But somebody's going to be at some point in the future, probably. We'll see. We, of course, need to set our goals so that they are attainable and, of course, measurable. We need to know where we are in the process. We need to know that we've done this and that, and we've moved along our path to get to where it is that we want to go. And it feels good to look back at all the things we've accomplished. But if we don't set something today, now, then when you look back, you're not going to see things clearly. You're going to look back and think, I could have done, or you're going to have regrets, or I could have done more, whatever it is. We need to see this. We need to see the timeline, which we're going to talk about here in just a moment. So let's talk about, well, this also, when we do this, it also gives us the ability to pivot when we see a need for a change. So it's not like things are set in stone. They're just set in a way that gives us potential to get there. For instance, if you are using roads to get to where it is you're going, is it possible that you have a delay or a detour that you're making? Sure. Let's say that you see a sign like, oh, I've got time. I want to do that. If you've got time, then you could probably do that. Whatever that something is that caught your attention. But if you've got a timeline, you can also see that you may not have enough time for it. We put good things in our path, but we've got to put the right things in our path. All right. Again, we're going to talk about timeline here in just a moment. Before I move into that, I want to talk about quality control. Anytime we're creating something that we want to go to, we've got to be able to pay attention to the quality, and our quality is up to us. We get to define it. We get to move forward and evaluate or compare. So quality control is up to us. So we set up these measurable indicators so that you know where you're at every stage of your journey. Making there's two things that I want you to think about when it comes to quality control. One is make a commitment to complete the creation of this path that gets you from where you are today to where it is that you want to go. Make a commitment. Do this today. Now, are you going to be able to finish it today? Maybe not, but at least have this commitment in your head that I am going to work on this. 2, make a commitment to get on that path. Once you've defined what it is, get on that path with every bit of energy and determination you have. After all, you're creating the path that takes you to where you're going. So it makes sense that you're going to do that. And that's what it takes. So those are the two things that I want you to think about when it comes to quality control. Now, I believe at every step of the way, we need to be thinking about our 5 workspace statements. And you guys, if you've been watching this, know exactly what your 5 workspace statements are. And I believe that your 5 workspace statements need to be right here in your environment. So when you are sitting at your desk doing whatever work you're doing, emails and crafting interesting marketing messages and making calls and doing artwork to your images, culling images, that you have the things that are important to you. So things like your mission statement, your vision statement, your value statements, your target market. These things are things that cause you to know what it is that you're doing, what it is that your purpose is, and it constantly realigns you to those things, because there are a lot of good things that you cross paths with. But if you'll look at those good things through the filter of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, you may see that a good thing is not what is right for you right now. But if you don't have this filter to see life through, you're going to see good things as good things, because they are, and you're going to do them and they're going to cause you struggle. You have time for the right things. You don't have time for the good things. And there's a ton of right things to do. It's going to be exciting. And if you've got this timeline, which we'll talk about, then you have the ability to see where you're at. And you don't feel like you're missing anything, because you know very clearly you're heading towards your goals. So let's talk about the 3 P's, the first of which is professional. Are you a professional? It's not just about getting paid. To be respected as a professional in any industry means that people have faith in your skills and your capabilities. People have an expectation that you are an expert, someone who is experienced, educated, and reliable. There are too many in a lot of different industries, but of course, I study photographers the most by far. There are too many photographers who have experienced and lived the Dunning-Kruger effect, where they thoroughly believe they know more than they know. They aren't lying. They aren't even exaggerating in their mind. They just have this amount of knowledge that they feel is pretty much everything. They know they don't know everything. They're not totally unrealistic. They just don't know that they aren't being realistic. They believe that this amount of information that they have in their mind is being what it is I need to know and what I do. They think they've got it pretty good. Not everything, but they think they've got it pretty good. They don't realize how much is available. I've been studying photography for a very long time. Very long time. I don't even want to say how long. Many, many decades. And what I can tell you is there's so much to learn about the subject of photography that even if studying photography, not even doing it, if just studying photography and take new technology out of the picture, just what exists this moment, maybe even take even past technology. If you study photography for the rest of your life, you will never learn all there is to know. And that's just photography. As portrait photographers, as professional portrait photographers, you have to know a lot more than just photography. You've got to know the business side. And there's probably an equal amount of business knowledge that you could study the rest of your life and still not know all of that too. So if you've gotten to the point where you feel like I'm good, I don't need any more, I'm fine, I'm good enough, you are wrong. You will never reach that point. And the moment you reach that point, that is a key indicator that it's time for another class, another motivational message of some sort to push you in that direction. Because as you learn more, you realize that there's something else. And so you move over to that something else, and expands. And you move over to something else and it expands. And as you keep on going up, you keep on learning that more and more expand. Now, you may say, I don't need all that. How do you know what you need and don't need if you don't know it yet? You can't. Stop fooling yourself. Stop falling victim to the Dunning-Kruger effect. And if you don't know what that is, you've got Google. Look it up. If you have 2 years experience, 4 years experience, 5 years experience, and you think you're an expert already in portrait photography, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. There's way too much still to learn. You're still a baby. You're still new. That doesn't mean you can't help people. You should. But to elevate yourself past the person who's done it for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, sorry. It's not how it works. You're still brand new at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You're still new. That doesn't mean don't help people out. Absolutely help people out. From the beginning, help people out. But to be respected as a professional in any industry, it means that people have faith in your skills and your capabilities. It means that you're reliable. It means that you're educated. You're continuing to educate yourself. You never stop. A professional is someone who can be trusted because they are known for getting the job done correctly and competently. The level of trust is earned over time through hard work, dedicated effort, commitment over long periods of time. But it has to start somewhere. When colleagues make requests or seek wisdom, being respected as a professional means that they come to you because they believe that you will be able to give them clear and helpful guidance. By building strong relationships with clients, coworkers, and peers, professionals who are respected make their mark in their field or industry. Professionals take their position seriously. They respect themselves. They respect their clients, their coworkers, their peers. And they do this by staying up to date with the changes in their field through reading, taking classes, and continuing efforts to maintain and improve their skills. Also important are indirect relationships and value exchanges with our environment, including our ability to innovate, our creativity, and our ability to consistently produce despite the challenges that you face. Too many people are quick to quit, but all of us have challenges. All of us have difficulties. You look at someone who's been doing it for a long time and it seems easy. It seems like it's no problem. And so that's the reason, one of the reasons why maybe you went into business. But they didn't do it overnight. It takes time. As a professional portrait photographer, here are a few things that I feel you must know. Your target market, and be able to focus your marketing efforts on reaching them. Got to know your target market. You've got to know how to get paid. For instance, you've got to have a price list that works for you. And if you are looking at other people's price lists, then you don't have an understanding of how to make a price list. Not yet. But everybody starts somewhere. But I guarantee you that's not a good starting place. It's just where we all start. It's just not a good spot to start. But we don't know it. But that's why you might come to me, because I'm pretty darn good at finding a price list that's going to help you reach your goals. And it has nothing to do with what other photographers charge. Not as a custom portrait photographer. Now, other industries, yes, what other people charge actually is important. But a custom portrait photographer, your prices are based on how am I going to use this as a tool to reach my life goals. That's how price is determined. Now, that is not enough to get you to a price list. That's something I can help with. We also have to know payment process. How do we get paid? What's the process? And what other things are we going to do relating to price? Now, the next one is your brand. What message are you trying to send? We have to know in what ways do we want to be respected? We've got to define this. How do you want to be respected? Yes, you want to be respected, but how? Write it down. That way your marketing efforts cause it to happen. The next one is the influence that you want to have. That is very much along the lines of respected, but it is separate. The next, and there's two more, the resources and potential resources that you have. You need to know that. And finally, your ability to produce. What is your ability? You don't have time for everything. You don't. If you've got 40 hours in your day, then please let me know. I'll pay for your class. I'd love to learn how to get 30, 40 hours a day. But if you've got the same amount of time as me, 24 hours, then we have to plan. And we plan by first defining where it is we're going to go, knowing where it is that we are, and then planning a path to get there. So here's some key performance indicators that you can create on your own. How about subject of income, money? Here's some considerations that you may want to do for KPIs, key performance indicators on being a professional. Is your business bringing in the money that you want it to? That means you have to have defined what amount of money do you need to bring in. How about define how much you need to reach your goals that you've set? In other words, you have to have set them. You have to have defined them. For example, maybe you want to plan for retirement, pay for kids' education, get a new car every X number of years. Maybe you want a bigger home. Maybe you want to go on vacations, maybe multiple vacations every year. Maybe you want to help out some charities or some causes, some organizations that you believe in. Whatever it is, add it. Now, I come across photographers who often respond, I'm not trying to get rich with this. Uh-huh. Clearly, because there's other ways to get rich quicker than photography. So that's a kind of a silly statement. It means you're not thinking this through. You want photography because you have a passion for photography. So this comment of I'm not trying to get rich with this is, stop saying it. It's ridiculous. It doesn't help you, it harms you. It gives you an out for not planning, for not trying to make an income. Stop it. You're not trying to get rich, so what? But you are trying to make a business, and a business that is profitable, that helps you reach your life goals. So therefore, we have to define it. So rich is irrelevant for this. Our goal in starting and continuing a portrait photography business is not the accumulation of piles and piles of cash for no one. So you're saying something that no one is saying. You have to define what it is that you want. Period. Not what you don't want, but what you do want. All right. I mentioned influence earlier. How about influence on your target market? What influence do you want to have on them? Think about this. How many jobs do you want to do per year, per month, per week, per day? What other photographer is already doing what you want to accomplish? Define who they are. Study them. I want you to define what the size of your target market is. Mine was real specific. I say, well, it's because I'm not actively marketing to my photography anymore. I still do it because I've got clients I've worked with over the years. But there's no active marketing at all. It hasn't been for several years. But my target market was a radius of 10 miles. 10 miles out. That's as far as I wanted to go. But it was because of how I chose to do business. And the only way I could have known that is by defining it. How many people are in your target market area? I know a lot of you watching are from San Antonio, Texas, where I'm from, but I also know that there's a lot of people who are not in San Antonio and from other places. And so your target market area does play a role in defining what it is that we're trying to do here. For instance, for me, a 10-mile radius is 200,000 people. If you can't, at least 100,000, let's say it's 100,000. If you can't make a solid income in photography with 100,000 people in your target market, the problem isn't the clients. The problem's you. In San Antonio and surrounding areas, there's around 2 million people. Your goal should not be to get all of them, to get the word out to all of them. You don't have piles of cash that could cause you to afford to do that anyway. So bring that down to a smaller number and saturate a smaller market. I mean, it makes sense. Put the numbers to paper and it makes sense. How about this one? What business relationships would you like to strengthen? Business relationships cause more business to happen, or it causes you to be able to find a hero in Digital Pro Lab, because that's what they are to you. When you send your prints, your images over to Digital Pro Lab to have them printed, they do a fantastic job. You send those images, you get those images, you have them framed, you put them up on the wall at your client's home. They've made a hero. They've helped you in that process. Strengthening business relationships helps that. That's one example. What business relationships might you want to create? How about which relationships do need to be reduced? There's some things that drain your energy. We need to figure out a plan to get rid of those, or at least reduce them. How about innovation and creativity? Your joy, your progress. To what degree is it meaningful? We need to define these things and more. I'm only giving you those as an example, and I'm going into detail on that one alone to keep KPIs on some ideas on being a professional. I want you to define it for yourself, though. You're defining what a professional means to you. You're simply defining it. And then you are making it measurable. And in what ways? I mentioned a handful. Now, in the next ones, I'm going to let you do that on your own. I'm going to define what they are from my point of view, but I want you to define them from your point of view and create those KPIs, the key performance indicators, on your own. Because it's not enough to just define these important words to you. By the way, in one of my programs, I have my students create a dictionary for their business. All the words that they use, define them. Get specific. The next P is portrait. Even if you've never printed your work before, you have likely considered the profound impact that a printed portrait can have on your clients and their loved ones. Beyond being a beautiful work of art, a portrait represents a moment in time that, because of you as the portrait photographer, is never going to be forgotten. A portrait is more than a picture. And on that statement, I'm preaching to the choir. But what is it? I believe it's a powerful reflection of a person's identity, character, their unique spirit. By creating printed portraits that are displayed in your clients' homes, you're not only providing them with a stunning piece of artwork, but also an enduring symbol of love and connection that is shared with their family and friends. Portraits are displayed in a prominent place in the home. They become an integral part of the space, giving that space personal meaning. It's a reminder with continuous value and the bond of shared moments. Portraits are not about the paper or canvas or metal or whatever it's printed on. It's about the meaning and impact of the portraits you create. A portrait is a representation of a life's beautiful moments, a representation of love, and a representation of connection. Define for yourself what portrait means, because then you've given yourself a way to measure. Am I measuring up to my own expectations of what a portrait is? And if not, wonderful. It gives you direction on where you need to improve. Had you known, you'd have done it already. It is in defining what it is you think is ideal and just right that causes you to know the difference between good and right. Let's move on to, uh, well, before I do that, is this helping you guys? Are you hearing something that has value today? If you do, do me a favor in the comments section. Tell me that. Don't keep that stuff to yourself. If you think that if you're watching a show, not just mine, not just Portrait Profits, any show, if you are watching a show, if you're watching a YouTube video and you gain something from it, the least you can do is comment or like. That individual has put a lot of time and effort into it. Hit that like button, hit that love button, make a comment, share a story that's similar to what it is that you are doing and saying. The next P is photographer. The last P, because we've already talked about professional. We just talked about portrait. Now, photographer. Anytime I see the word photography, I have to stop and look what's around it because I'm connected to the word. If I see it in print, if I see it in an ad, the word photography, I associate it with me. It's mine. Now, that doesn't mean it's mine independent of anyone else, or it is independent of anyone else, but it doesn't mean that no one else can have it. I think everybody can have it. But photography is something I feel is something that stands out. When I see the word, I'm attracted to it. I look around. If I see some name and then photography, if I am scanning something, the word photography stands out. I look to see the name that's before it. A photographer, and I'm specifically talking about portrait photographers. Anyone can gain something out of what I'm sharing, but I'm definitely targeting my message to the professional portrait photographer. But I want you to know that I hold your profession and by extent you in high esteem. You may not see it, you may not feel it. I hope you do, but I hold you in high esteem. I hold this profession as being one of the most important professions, period. You might think that's crazy, but I feel that you're more important than lawyers, politicians, even heads of state. I think you're more important than doctors. I know that might sound crazy, but you're in a place of more importance than any of those. Although it's close, and um, I even put you one spot above teachers, which I hold in very high esteem. That doesn't mean I like 100% of them. I don't like 100% of anything. Well, that's probably not true. But as a professional portrait photographer, you have the power to create enduring works of art that will be appreciated and cherished. You know, they're appreciated and cherished well beyond the lifetime of the person you photographed. And not only the person you photographed, but everyone who's in their environment can be impacted by the work you do. It doesn't end at death. The work of a doctor ends when the person dies. The work that you do, it doesn't end there. There is no expiration date for what you do, except by the the quality of the surface that you have your artwork printed on. There aren't many professions that can say that what they do goes beyond death, but you can. As a creator of meaningful printed portraits, you build an association and appreciation to the guests of the home, and you add continuity and connection across generations. What you do is so much greater than what you imagined when you began. But it doesn't end there. It grows as you evolve and grow. Your skill and artistry enable you to create stunning portraits that showcase the unique personalities, joy, beauty, and characteristics of your clients. You have the power to capture the essence of a person and immortalize them in a beautiful work of art. Your work has power. It creates a sense of belonging, togetherness, and captures the essence of what makes us human. You are a professional portrait photographer, meaning that you take pride in your work and you know what you do has a profound impact on the lives of your clients and a lot of others. You are amazing, and your work is a gift to those lucky enough to experience it. That is the mindset I believe you need to go into being a custom portrait photographer. I'll repeat it. Your work is a gift to those lucky enough to experience it. Like I mentioned before at the beginning, this is like driving a car. You choose what roads, what paths that you're going to take to get you to where it is you want to go. But unlike driving, not only do you choose your path, but you also must create and maintain that path. And you maintain and create, you create it and maintain it with a well thought out plan. So that is where creating your timeline comes in. Let's start with assessing your situation. What are we doing right now? Uh, think of things like your environment. Is your environment conducive to your growth? Think about everything about it. I mean, physical things, mental things, people who are affecting you mentally. Is it conducive to your growth from your point of view? The people, the computer you're using, the chair you're sitting in, the lighting, the temperature, anything that can affect you. Is it right for your optimal continued growth? If not, make it happen. By the way, guys, if this is helping you today, will you tell me that in the comments? This is great. Thank you. I appreciate you. This helps. I get it. Hadn't thought about it that way before. Whatever you're thinking, put it over in the comments. And I sure do like all those likes and loves. I'm seeing a bunch of them right now. You guys are awesome. I appreciate that. Assessing your situation, 2 of 3. Knowledge. What you do, what do you still need to learn? What areas can you improve? I want you to find a knowledge plan. And of course, that means continuing education. I don't know it all, but I've been studying it. And I'll just tell you, I started studying photography in either 75 or 76. I think it was 75. Now, I didn't do it a whole lot at the beginning. It took a while before I actually started really studying it. But I've been studying photography for a very long time. And I still, of course, don't know it all. I still know only the surface. Now, you may think, how's that possible? Because the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. You'll stop acting like you know everything the more you learn because you realize there's so much more that you didn't know. So plan a knowledge continuing plan of education and how to grow. Plan that into what you're doing. The third of three is strategies. What strategies are required for you to be successful? And you're defining what success is. No one else defines this for you. What strategies are required for you to become successful? Write it down, plan it. This means things like budget, time, physical environment, people, your habits, tons of stuff. When you're thinking about your KPIs for your habits that relate to the three P's: professional, portrait, and photographer. Think of things that you want to add, habits that you'd like to form, things that you'd like to be the norm, but also think about the things you want to get rid of, because there are some things that aren't really helping you and some things that are really holding you back. So define the things that you want to add and the things you want to get rid of. And that way you can create that key performance indicator, the KPIs, that help you know where you're at and know how far you've come, how much you've accomplished. And so think about that when you're thinking about your KPIs. Um, Define what must you do to make those changes. What things have to be in place? What steps are going to be necessary in order for you to reach the changes that you have to have in order to make these things happen? You may put it in terms of benchmarks. Uh, thing You could set it, a month out, 6 months out, a year out. But set this out in your timeline, how far out you want these things to happen on all three things. So your professional goals, your portrait, the word photographer. What are the things you want to do, and what's the timeline? What is it going to look like in 6 months? What's going to look like in 5 years? But define these benchmarks. Where am I headed? When do I want to get there? You do that when you go on a road trip, don't you? If you've been on a road trip, have you defined the time you want to get somewhere? Of course you have. Why would you not be doing that in the life of your photography business? Makes sense. All right. We've been talking about um, the build up to your timeline and the base of it, but take all of your goals and create a physical timeline. Now, that could mean a software program, because there's plenty of software programs that help you out with timelining. But it could also be right in your environment, just like the 5 workspace statements. You could have something as simple as a piece of string with Post-it notes folded over and you're only using half of it on it. It could be as simple as that. You could put clothespins. You could put something that holds the piece of paper onto that string. That way you can see the timeline and you can move it around, because things change as you go. Some things get a little bit more attention, and so maybe they happen faster as a result. But you can look at a glance of all the things you want to do and where you started, and you can see, I'm picturing the string up on your wall behind your computer screen, where you can see where you're starting today and where you want to go and all the little steps that it's going to take to reach it. That way you can see at a glance, where am I? And you can be proud of the things you've already done, because a lot of the things we do, we forget about. They're small, but they were important. And we can look up at that string. We can see we are working towards our goal. We are doing things that help us reach our life goals, the things we want out of this life. Rather than looking where you're at today and thinking, I am not where I want to be yet. Well, you look at your timeline, you can see you're exactly where you need to be. That is a good feeling. But I want you to be able to see this timeline at a glance. It makes it a lot easier to adjust when you can see the big picture. You may think I can keep that all in my head. I'm telling you, no, you can't. You've got too many variables in life to keep everything in your head. You're going to forget some stuff. Maybe you want to create that dream body and maximize energy and focus within 2 years. Maybe you want to create relationships with other fun and successful entrepreneurs within the next year. Maybe you want to go on 2 vacations this year. Define what it is that you want, put it on your timeline. Then define how I could possibly reach it. Put it on your timeline. That way you know where you're at every step of the way. Does that sound good? Let me know in the comments. Does this sound crazy? Let me know that in the comments. If you've got some personal experience that you can share with others to help other people, put it in the comments. In fact, I encourage you, of course, to share this with others. I want you to hit live, hashtag live. If you're watching this live, if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. But I want you to click that share button. Or if you know someone in particular, comment just their name in the comments section. Let them know that this is here. Help them. When you help out others, you are helping out yourself. The life that you envision is worth all of this effort. Before I go into my closing thoughts, I'm going to take a look over at the comments. Good to see you guys here. I see Fred and Cindy and Rick and Joanne, Wesley. How's it going, Wesley? And Jero, Strider, Lupe, Robin, a bunch of Facebook users. I guess you want to remain anonymous, and that's fine because I am glad you're here. And so we've been talking about the 3 P's for a professional portrait photographer. And I've got a few closing thoughts on that. I hope that this discussion has been helpful in offering positive thoughts on the 3 P's, professional, portrait, and photographer. It's important to be aware of how far you've come, as well as what remains in your journey. When you put the energy and effort to attaining your life goals, success is going to follow. It just happens because you planned it. Does everything go according to plan? Of course not. But when you can see the big picture, you're in a much better position to pivot and make the changes that are needed. Because too many of us, when we come across these bumps in the road, think that they are walls, impenetrable. We hit them hard. We feel it emotionally. But if we've got a timeline, knowing where we're at and where we're going, we see that that wasn't a wall that you ran into. It was a step in the stairs that lead you to your goals. Establish achievable expectations for yourself and identify means of tracking your progress to make sure that you're heading towards your goals. Track your progress and never stop striving for success. Success is the journey of a professional. Thank you for taking the time to have this conversation with me today. I wish you all the best as you work towards achieving your dreams. Now, I want to tell you about the upcoming shows because, as you guys are well aware, at least I hope so, every single week, the Portrait Profit Show has a show on Monday, every Monday. On the second Monday of each month, we do move it to 6:30 in the evening, and we have a panel discussion with 3 professionals or someone who is very well aware of the subject that we are talking about. And we do that at 6:30 on that second Monday of each month. But all other Mondays, like today, our show is at noon. So what's coming up? We have next week, 1 week from today, we have Focus on Joy. That is on March 6th. This is the last Monday of February. Can you believe it? We're pretty much done with 2 months of the year 2023. They're gone. You got 10 left. But I want you to focus on joy. Now, photographers don't belong in the one size fits all box. You were meant to stand out. You're supposed to shine. In this episode, we focus on identifying the things that bring you the greatest joy. And we plan a path that makes that your amazing career. So that's on March 6th. On March 13th, that's the second Monday of the year, that is a panel discussion on how I chose my niche or niche, however you say it, how I chose it. We'll have 3 panelists on to share what they're doing and why they're doing it, what caused them to choose the path that they are taking, what caused them to isolate one major thing. That doesn't mean that they only do one thing. It means that they do the majority of their marketing on that one thing, or they do maybe only their marketing on that one thing. Why that's beneficial, why that is helpful. We'll have a discussion about that on March 13th. And then on March 20th, I guarantee it is the topic. And you believe in creating trust with your clients. You already have that. You already know it. You may not have it, but you know it. If there was a problem, you would fix it. So the next logical step, create a guarantee. It's another great way to stand out from the competition, because most photographers do have no guarantee at all. Yes, they would fix any problems that came up, but they don't have anything that states it. So those that have a guarantee have an advantage over those that don't. You get to define what the guarantee is. You can make it real simple. You can make it a little bit more detailed. I recommend it have it being pretty darn simple, of course. But in this episode, we will discuss how to create your guarantee. I'll share mine with you, but I'll go over the thought process, the reason, the advantage that it has in marketing and creating trust for prospects, and then of course your clients once they become your clients. So that is on March 20th. Please add those to your calendar. We have just finished show number 106. 3 P's of a professional portrait photographer. And I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you found it informative. I hope you found it insightful. As a portrait photographer, defining where you are and where you're going is setting yourself up for success, because it's defining what that means to you. Now, it's time to act. You've listened. Now you have to do something with what you heard. It's not enough just to listen. I encourage you to take time today to define your 3 Ps and the key performance indicators. They're going to cause you to know how you're growing, where you're at at any moment in time. And don't forget to tune in next week for more tips and strategies to help you grow your portrait photography business. For Landers Photography School and Digital Pro Lab, I'm Jim Landers, bringing you the weekly Portrait Profits show and giving you evolving content, awareness, and even fun to the business side of photography as we unpack the mysteries of building and running your business. You get tips, systems, insights to help you with the struggles you deal with now, so you are constantly realigned to the success you deserve. Thank you for investing your time here at the Portrait Profit Show. I appreciate you guys. Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.